Okay, Rockfin, are you going to make me log in again? Don't make me log in again. Okay. Then what are you waiting for? Just waiting for the button to appear. Should not take that long. Finally. Based. Doobie-doobie-doo. Sabrina Salvati. Doobie-doobie-doo. 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 I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. Doobie-doobie-doo. Hello. Happy Friday, guys. We finally made it here to the weekend. Welcome to Sabby Sabs podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. If you are new, I want to let you know that Sabby Sabs podcast is a part of Revolutionary Blackout Network. You can catch me there on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And you can catch me here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Quick shout out to everyone watching on YouTube, Rockfin, and Twitter. What is going on, guys? So excited for tonight's show. We got a lot to talk about, but I want to quickly give shout outs to people in the chat. Lots of comments here. What is going on, Saul? Oh no, they got caught telling the truth. This is true. Shout out to Notori sending fire and love. Greetings, Bad Cookie. Sorry, not sorry. In terms of Katie Halper, she supports the system that silences her. She creates the means to her own demise. Ouch, that was brutal. Well, we'll get into that story. What's going on, Rodrigo? Sabby, do you think it's still worthwhile to go on Rising when invited? In spite of what they did, there's still a platform with 1.5 million people. I'm going to talk about that tonight. Shout out to Jay. Blumenthal and Mate are the gold standard when it comes to reporting. I don't know why I said it like that. I had a little too much tea today, so I have a little extra caffeine in me. The gold standard. Shout out to Lawrence Johnson, who's a Sabby member. I have been coming in late recent. Pretty rude. So made a point of getting here early. Hi, all. Oh, Lawrence, that's so sweet. Greetings, VS Adams. I always want to say VSA Adams. Oh, goody. Shout out to Angela. Happy Friday, one and all. Aaron and Max getting smeared usually translates to Aaron and Max spewed truth somewhere and feelings were hurt. That's true. That's usually what happens. Shout out to Joe. Getting dismissed from the Hill earns Miss Katie some street cred. Somebody believes she may be a threat. And in my book, that's a very good thing. Yeah, I can't wait to get into that story. Shout out to Dabby Dab says, hello, everyone. Greetings, Ben says, it's Sabby time. Yay! Ben's also a Sabby member. What's going on? Sean says, I got my doobie. I do. Greetings, Hannah G sends a smile. Shout out to Kim says, happy Friday, Sabby. What's going on? Monarch says, Katie Halper is definite PMC, even if she stands far better than the scum of TYT and Majority Report. I have no comment on Matt, probably a PMC, but man, you guys are brutal tonight. We're just getting started. We are just getting started. Shout out to Nays Garden says, Sabs, Katie helps own the truth. That's right. Greetings, Kim says, hello, Lawrence. How are you this evening? Shout out to Lawrence there. What's going on, Allie? Happy Friday, Sabby and everyone. Greetings, Roman. Good Friday, fam. Shout out to Cryosynth. History is made. Greetings, Terry says, good evening, fam. Shout out to E. Rogel. Did Taibbi ever have a jab take? I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Good question, though. What's going on, R.I.P. Shireen? I'm not sure what that that image is, but sup? Greetings, Extra Bulla says happy Friday, fam. What's going on? Extra Bulla's in the house. Shout out to Nelson. Greetings from TO Canada, Toronto, Canada. I haven't been to Toronto in years, but I had a great time when I was there. Shout out to Stephen R. I'm with Cookie on that one. You guys are coming in tonight. Yikes. Shout out to Reggie. Says Bed-Stuy. What's up? What's up, my Brooklyn buddy? Greetings, Leora. My doobie-doobie-doo's car is broken down. Yeah, that's unfortunate to hear, Leora. That sucks. I hate when that happens. I actually need to get my car serviced. I've been putting it off, I think, a little bit too long, actually, now. Yeah, I need to get that done. What's going on, Kill Your Egregors? Happy Friday, Sabby and Sabby family. Greetings, Roman says, feisty Friday. Feisty. What's up, pretzel eater? What's up? What's up? Shout out to Pat. Being censored adds to one's credibility. This is true. This is true. Shout out to Techloid Tech, the Zionist Hill. Man, you guys are brutal. Oh, dear. Okay, and what is going on? JM42 says, hey, Sabby. All right, quick shout out to everyone who is a Sabby patron. Thank you guys so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. If you are interested in being a Sabby patron, I want you to know that I have 5 categories. Members, Sabbies, Sabsters, Sabinators, and of course, the ultimate. All of their names are listed here. I'm going to try to make this better, you guys. Like, I don't know. I think I need to make the names larger, or I don't know. I just think I need to go with a different format. And I want to give a new shout out to a new Sabby patron. We call them newbies here. Let's give a big shout out to Denise. Whoop, 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 whoop. All right. And you can also see their names scrolling across the bottom of the screen. So, let me turn this off. Why is that there? Okay. What are we talking about tonight? Let's go ahead and share my thumbnail. Let's get started. Today has been a busy, crazy day for me. So this is why I needed the tea. All right. Tonight we are discussing Aaron Mate and Max Blumenthal smeared. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get into that story. That story and the next one is actually going to be the topic for the call-in segment tonight. We're going to talk about censorship on the left. I'm also going to discuss Katie Halper and Matt Taibbi censored. It's happening all around us, you guys. They weren't censored together. They were censored for 2 different things, but it happened in the same week. So everybody's getting censored this week. And last but not least, we are going to discuss Louisville housing win. This is huge. Shout out to those of you that sent me this tweet from Ja'Cory Author. We're going to get into that tonight. So sometimes you need to hear some good news, right? Sometimes you need to hear it. Do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that like button, guys. That really helps me with the algorithm. Thank you so much. I remembered. All right. Let's get started with this housing story in Louisville, Kentucky. Now, this is huge because you guys know I talk about housing a lot on here. I actually have a vlog that's coming out where I actually interviewed a couple of residents at Grant Manor Housing Projects here in Boston, talking about the conditions that they're living in. That should be coming out this weekend. I had some audio issues with that because I didn't have an external microphone. We did the best that we could, but we'll get it out this weekend, hopefully. So we've been talking about the housing issues a lot and also about affordable housing. Well, Louisville, Kentucky has decided to act on that. And what they have done is huge. Let's go ahead and give credit where credit is due here to Ja'Cory Author. He is speaking here. So I'm going to play this video clip. Now, he says, today we announced recipients of $32 million for permanent supportive housing. This will be housing that is forever affordable with social services on site 24/7, helping people with disabilities. Thank you to the people who made this possible. What I really love about this is this part here where he says the housing will be forever affordable, which means they shouldn't have these high, price hikes happen down the road. That can happen sometimes, even with affordable housing. And they're also providing social services on site 24/7 to help people with disabilities. And we've been talking about the disabled community as well on the show, as well as on RBN. I told you guys a lot of times that group in particular is left out or forgotten about. So I really appreciate the fact that they remembered that group. So let's go ahead and play this clip. And then I have an article that I'm going to share about this as well. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I believe this is huge.
Number one, thank you to the people who are not in this room who contributed to the feedback and the survey that we put out about the American Rescue Plan. Overwhelmingly, community said that we should fund housing. And guess what? We funded more than anything else. That is a direct reflection of what people in this city, what Louisvillians said we desperately need. And I'm proud we were able to address that need with some of this money. I also want to say thank you to the people, of course, on the stage. Council members largely aren't experts in a lot of the fields that we work in, that we legislate around. We're just regular people, elected by other regular people to do things to help regular people. And the people behind me, the people around us today, these are the experts. These are the people who have the experiences that help get us to where we are. And I'm so proud that they'll be receiving some of this funding to make sure that people get housed. And then I also want to just thank the people who are doing outreach work on a daily basis, on a nightly basis, giving out tents, making sure people have food, advocating for folks, just showing up in crisis when people desperately need it. I think that local government, overwhelmingly, you hear a lot how we should prioritize public safety. And where should you feel the most safe? In your home.
That's right.
But if you don't have a place to call home, a permanent place to call home, a sustainable place to call home, a consistent place to call home, you're the least safe person in the city of Louisville.
That's 100% true. And not just Louisville, but homeless people are often attacked. They're harassed a lot by the police. They have to worry about having their items stolen while they're trying to sleep at night. It's not easy for someone to be homeless. So someone is asking in the chat, who is this? This is Jacory Arthur. He is a city councilor in Louisville, Kentucky. So, again, this has to speak to the importance of local politics. This is why I keep telling you guys, we put a lot of attention on what we can do on the national level electorally, but we can get a lot more accomplished faster on the local level. And I've seen that happen in my state here in Massachusetts. We've passed some of these progressive policies that people like Bernie Sanders and AOC and the rest of the squad were running on and campaigning on that have not been implemented nationally in this country. We have already implemented some of those policies in Massachusetts. So if you focus more so on the state and the local level, some of these things you can go ahead and get accomplished in your community. The housing issue is huge, right? Because the housing needs are different based on where you live locally. In some states, the housing costs are more affordable than they are in other states. Some states have more land, so they can build more housing. And then you may have some places or some cities like Boston where we're very dense. There isn't a lot of land in Boston per se, but the land that is there could be used for other things, I would argue as well. But this is an example to show you how much you can get accomplished on the local level. And when it comes to an issue like housing in particular, that is a fight that I feel is done better on the local level. And they're proving that right now. Look what they have already accomplished. Look at it. I'll go back into the video. Let's let this finish.
There have been plenty of studies that show people who are unhoused are victims of crimes at higher rates than any other group of people in this country.
That's right.
And majority of them are Black families. This is a crisis that I'm glad local government is addressing as much as we can, but we also need help from the state and we also need help from the feds. If you took every housing unit and the average amount of families in those housing units that we're missing in the city of Louisville, and you put them all in the same place, we're talking about the third largest city in the state of Kentucky. This is something that we absolutely need to address for generations.
That's right. Well said. And again, if you want to see the rest of the thread as well, there's a lot of responses here. But
Number
you can
one,
follow,
thank you to the people who are not in.
That was random. You can follow Jacory Author on Twitter at Jacory Author. I just want to make sure you can see that. Definitely follow him. They're doing great things on the local level there. And this is the kind of things that I want to see. I want to see more of this, the change happening on the local level. Okay. So he didn't sit around and wait let me wait and see if Joe Biden will do the right thing. Let me wait and see if Congress is going to vote for the right legislation. So hopefully we'll get something for people here in Louisville. No, they're not waiting on that. They did it on the local level. This is what we need. Now, I want to get to the article because this article actually breaks down how that was done. So let's go ahead and get into that. And this is from LouisvilleKentucky.gov. Mayor, council members announce recipients of American Rescue Plan funding for permanent supportive housing initiatives. So let me make this a little bit bigger because the text is a tad small. Mayor Greg Fisher and Metro Council members today announced the city is in contract negotiations to devote about $32 million of federal American Rescue Plan dollars to 5 community organizations for permanent supportive housing projects, providing help to vulnerable people who not only with more stable housing, but also more opportunities for stability and productivity in their lives. The $32 million funding allocation was approved by Metro City Council in November 2021 through Ordinance 168. Like other cities across our nation, Louisville has been faced and is facing a critical challenge in addressing the needs of those with no stable housing. And we are committed to finding an array of options for them. Now, that came from the mayor. There's another piece I want to highlight here, the proposals that they had. The project proposals that the city is in negotiations on are John Center for the Homeless, $17.5 million for permanent supportive housing, Volunteers of America, $4.5 million for 18 units of permanent supportive housing that will be part of a development with 62 affordable housing units. House of Ruth, $6.5 million, and this is 40 units of permanent supportive housing. And then Choices, $120,000 for one house for permanent supportive housing. The solution to homelessness is housing. Many people who are living on our streets also need supportive services to get back on their feet. Housing and those services are what these units will provide. Today's announcement is a critical, skipped my spot here, critical step, seeing that every Louisvillian, I think it's Louisvillian, has a safe, decent, and affordable place to live. All citizens should have access to safe and stable housing. So this is amazing. In Louisville Metro government, LMG, they were allocated $388 million in ARP, pandemic local fiscal recovery funds, approved by Congress to meet the most urgent needs of the communities across the country as they rebuild. Now, here's something I want to say about this. Those ARP funds that was sent from the federal government to the states, even though the money is coming from the federal government, once it's in the hands of the governors of those states, it's really up to the governors. It's really up to, the city councilors, the mayors, and all of them to decide how that money is going to be used and how it's going to be allocated across the state. One of the mistakes I've noticed with the federal government, and Roger Meadows has talked about this often as well, there seems to be a lot of trust from the federal government, assuming that when they send money or funding to the states, that the states are going to do the right thing and use the money in the way that it should be used. They have a lot of trust in the governors of these states. And what we found during the pandemic is that some of these states did not actually send the funds to the people it was supposed to be sent to. It wasn't allocated appropriately. So there's too much trust there from the federal government expecting the local governors to do what they're supposed to do with those resources. This is an example where they did the right thing. You see that? You see how the city councilors like Ja'Cory Arthur, you need that push, you need that pressure and that push and that support from the city councilors, from the mayors. They all work together. This is what can happen when the governors do the right thing. Because I've heard from multiple people where they have said the funds weren't even distributed properly throughout their state. That some people were still waiting on their relief funds. Some people didn't even get them, right? But the local politicians, I don't want to give the governor all the credit. The local politicians there are the ones that made this happen. That's important to note. And I think there's one more piece I want to mention here. Go down to this part here. Somebody's watching me. Here we go, right here. This is the 5th round of ARP spending by Mayor Fisher and Metro Council, and is based on priority areas that the mayor and Metro Council agreed on for the federal funding. So you see, again, the mayor and the city councilors are working together. So the other priority areas were public safety, public health, homelessness and affordable housing, workforce development, and healthy Louisville, healthy neighborhoods. So I wanted to start you guys off with some good news tonight. So yeah, every now and then you got to hear something good. Okay. I want you guys to hear some good positive news, every now and then. So let me go to some of the comments here. Mary, Sabby, you are a breath of fresh air. Oh, thank you so much, Mary. That's nice to know. That is good to hear. Casey says, hit the streets, y'all. Please, for the love of all, or WTF ever. Hashtag class war, general strike now, community, solidarity, and fire. Love it. Love it. I don't know if I would, I don't know. Yes, she can sing. LOL. Sadly, my sense of hearing is not at all. I don't know if I'm that great of a singer per se. I don't think I'm that great of a singer. Let's see. Sorry, Eric's not with me tonight, so bear with me, guys. Bear with me. Eric is on vacay, so I'm flying solo tonight. Woo! Adept said, we the people are the government. Public servants are representative government. That's right. What? Lawrence Johnson, we think you are a great singer. Oh dear. I don't know, man. I don't know. All right. I don't even know if Rockfin is up on here. I'll have to bring, darn it. See, again, when I don't have Eric, I don't know. I'm flying on my wings. Okay. I had too much tea today. We're going to go ahead and get into our next story, which is about Katie Halper. And then we'll get into the story about Matt Taibbi. And this, I did not expect to see this. Now, for those of you who are not aware, Katie Halper was like a guest correspondent on The Hills Rising. And she's been doing that for a while, apparently. And something happened. They tried to censor her. Did not go so well. I'm not surprised. If you have not seen the interview that I did with Kim Iverson, we did talk about this, about what happened to Kim and why she left Rising. Now, in Katie's case, from what I understand, it seems like Katie was fired. Kim was not. Kim just left on her own, was like, no, I'm not dealing with this shit. Kim was like, I am out of here. Okay. So we all know the story, like what happened with Kim Iverson, how they didn't want her to be a part of that Fauci interview, which did not make any sense, obviously. So Kim, took the high road and said, yeah, I'm not going to be a part of this. She got out before they could get rid of her. And I think she did the right thing. But it didn't just stop with Kim. Now, Katie Halper also has been subjected to the same censorship from The Hills Rising. And I think I want to play this clip. And I think we need to have a larger conversation, not just about censorship, but in particular, what is happening at Rising? Because there's been this revolving door. And yes, you guys know, many of you know I was on there recently as a guest, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to be critical of them. And I think we need to talk about this because there's something is not right. Something is rotten in Denmark. So let's hear what Katie had to say here. She did discuss this on her own show. Let's go ahead and get into this.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Katie Halper Show. I'm your host, Katie Halper, as you know. And as you all know, I do host, obviously, the Katie Halper Show. I also host Useful Idiots, another podcast and YouTube show. And I recently had started doing some guest co-hosting at Rising, which is a YouTube show hosted by The Hill. I even pitched a show to The Hill, which was a lefty version of The View, which we shot a pilot for last Friday. And for the last 3 years, I've appeared on The Hill's Rising as a guest once a week to do a weekly segment on media and politics. And I've always really enjoyed working with The Hill. And I felt like I was given the freedom to talk about whatever I wanted to talk about. And I really did see it as a place free of the censorship and the kind of like party line enforcement that.
Let's jump in here for just a second. Now, there's something that Katie said right here about the censorship. I have something to say about this in reference to Kim as well.
And I felt like I was given the freedom to talk about whatever I wanted to talk about. And I really did see it as a place free of the censorship and the kind of like party line enforcement that defines.
All right, let's talk about that for a second, because Katie just said something that Kim Iverson also said. Like, Kim Iverson also got that same impression that she could talk about whatever she wanted to on Rising, that they weren't going to censor her. So we have to ask the question, what is happening at Rising? What are they telling people? What are they telling these hosts that come on to be a part of the show, whether it's a guest correspondent or whether it's a co-host? What are they saying to them? Are they telling them you can talk about whatever you want? You get to pick your topics. We're not going to censor you. Because if that's what they're saying to them, and then the response is to censor them, something is off. Something is off. Because when Kim Iverson, the very first time she came on my show, this was last year, she had just started working with Rising. And Kim said the same thing. You have to go way back on my channel to find that video. But Kim said that same thing. She could talk about whatever she wants. She can pick her topic. They don't censor her. And maybe that's something that they tell them to get them. But then they're still going to censor them depending on what the topic is that they select or depending on the narrative that they choose to use. So something is rotten in Denmark. Let's go on.
Finds other corporate media. So as I said, I'd been doing some guest hosting at The Hill, and I really enjoyed it. And I hosted this Monday and had already lined up some more hosting events for the near future. And rising hosts do these things called radars, which are basically monologues delivered straight to the camera. So I wanted to deliver a monologue about Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib being criticized by some.
Let's go back here for just a second, because we're going to talk about the work that's involved.
That I'd been doing some guest hosting at the Hill, and I really enjoyed it. And I hosted this Monday and had already lined up some more hosting events for the near future. And
she had already lined up hosting events for the near future. So for anyone that wants to come back and say, well, how do you know it? How does she know for sure it had to do with the topic that she was going to talk about, or it had to do with the narrative? She just told you she was already lined up for guest hosting spots in the future. Just something to point to.
And rising hosts do these things called radars, which are basically monologues delivered straight to the camera. So I wanted to deliver a monologue about Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib being criticized by some over comments she made about people who are progressive except on Palestine. And she was slammed for describing Israel as an apartheid state. So my monologue basically defended Tlaib and kind of broke down why Israel is, in fact, an apartheid state.
Okay. So this had to do with foreign policy. And we know that when it comes to foreign policy, there are certain narratives that corporate media wants to uphold. Rashida Tlaib is Palestinian, right? So, of course, she's going to speak up for her people, which oftentimes in corporate media, this is not a side we're getting the chance to hear. And there has been a lot of pushback or censoring towards journalists, towards commentators that have any type of negativity to say about the state of Israel. And I want to be clear what I have to say when I say that. I'm not talking about the Israeli people. I'm talking about the state of Israel. People who critique that. Corporate media does not like that narrative. You know why? The U.S. government doesn't like that narrative. And I've told you guys this before. Oftentimes, mainstream media follows the same talking points from the U.S. government, from the State Department. So it's about foreign policy. Let her go on.
So I wrote my monologue and I delivered it, and the Hill filmed it, but then they did not air it. And when I pushed back against their not airing it, I was fired, not just as a host, but also as a weekly contributor, which is something I'd been doing again for 3 years. So,
okay. Let's talk about that. She filmed the segment. And apparently with these radars, you have to actually write, I guess, a script. This would be really difficult for me because I don't write anything down. I just get on here and it's all up here. So she wrote this radar. She filmed the segment. They didn't seem to have a problem with filming it. And then after she filmed it, they didn't want to air it. She pushed back and then they fired her. Gamer, I gained some respect for Katie. Do you guys see why they don't allow certain voices in these mainstream media circles? Do you see why certain people from the left will never be on CNN, will never be on MSNBC? Fox News may take them on here and there if it's going to be a critique of Joe Biden or Democrats, right? But do you see how this works? So if you go against the narrative, and she was right to push back, you're gone. Just like that. Can't sit here. That's how quick they get rid of you. You see how that works? This is why independent media is so incredibly important, you guys. This is why. And I'm going to be honest with all of you. After what I saw with the Kim Iverson situation, the way that they treated Kim Iverson, I really don't understand why anybody would want to sign a contract with the Hill. I don't know why anyone, I wouldn't trust it. Why would you try after what they did to Kim Iverson, how they snubbed her like that? No way. No way I would trust it. Now, Rodrigo asked a question earlier. What do you think about the guest appearances on Rising? That's a good question. I think if you're going on there to get your message across, that is a large audience, just like Nick. Nick went on there and he killed it, right? To educate people about communism, to educate people about imperialism, Nick was right to take that opportunity. When I was asked to go on there to talk about AOC, and I tried to bring it back to the problem with the electoral system, the problem with the duopoly that we have in this country. Absolutely. I was going to take that opportunity because I want that message to get out to more and more people. Now, if one of us were offered, and I don't think they would, but if one of us were offered to have a position like Katie did, would I take that? No. Can't. Sorry. But it is corporate media. So we have seen the Hill Rising. We've seen them screw over Crystal and Sagar and try to tell them who they could and couldn't have on the show. We've seen them screw over Kim Iverson. Don't know what happened with Ryan Grimm. We just know he's not a part of that anymore. I think he may have left on his own. And now we've seen them fire Katie Halper. Now, look, I don't agree with Katie Halper on some of the issues. I don't. I'm further to the left of her. It's just a reality. Sorry, keeping it real. But do I think that we should be applauding her being fired? No. No, because she pushed back, which is what she should have done. A lot of people, I'm going to tell you from experience, because I've seen it. A lot of people, a lot of journalists and commentators wouldn't have pushed back. It's easier to just go along with the flow and keep getting the check. It's not easier to push back. So I'll give her credit for that. I'll give credit where credit's due. But there's a problem at Rising. Let's go back in.
As a weekly contributor, which is something I'd been doing again for 3 years. So I do want to be clear that the producers I worked with were nothing but supportive. They were great, and they really wanted their higher ups, their bosses, the executives to do the right thing. But sadly, they wouldn't. And this is obviously really sad and frustrating and disappointing and infuriating. And there's nothing I can do about their decision to not run the monologue. And there's nothing I can do about their decision to stop working with me or to fire me. But what I can do, and what I did do, was film and release the video that they wouldn't air. So I reached out to an actually progressive, actually independent, actually uncensored media outlet called Breakthrough News. And we made the video. So it's going to be.
So let me pause that for just a second, because there's something I do want to say as well. This is not to say that the other, hosts that are part of Rising agreed with that decision. Obviously, as you could tell, they did not. I'm curious how they feel. I wonder if they're concerned, if this could happen to them, if they just push back. Or they push back on the wrong issue. Bree and Katie are pretty close. I wonder how Bree feels about this. Something to think about. So she went on to do that segment through Breakthrough News, which is where Rania Khalek, she's through that network. So let's go on.
Coming out tonight at Breakthrough News. You'll be able to find it at Breakthrough News. You'll also then be able to find it at The Katie Halper Show, youtube.com/The Katie Halper Show. And I'll be talking about this more moving forward, but I just wanted to let people know. And in the meantime, of course, free Palestine. and support independent media. And of course, you can support the Katie Halper Show at Patreon. That's patreon.com/the Katie Halper Show. And please subscribe to this YouTube channel at youtube.com/the Katie Halper Show. And I think that's about it. I mean, I see a lot of comments. That's great. And I really want to thank everyone for being supportive of this show and of independent media. And I really appreciate all the people watching now and all the people who pay attention to this issue. And I know that it's probably infuriating to hear yet another case of censorship over this issue. But don't worry, we're not going anywhere. By we, I mean people who actually talk about these issues, especially the issue of Israel-Palestine. And I also want to express support, so much support to the people out there covering this who really risk their lives. Obviously, we know Shireen Abu Akleh, who I'm not at all comparing myself to, but obviously there are people out there who cover this issue and in doing so risk their lives. They lose their lives or their livelihoods. I'm going to be fine. I'm not happy about this, but it's fine. I'll be fine. I just wanted to make sure to get the word out there about this, and also to make sure that we got the video out there that I had made, because I think it's an important thing to show the world that sadly Israel is an apartheid state and we have to push back. And when we encounter censorship, we can't just run away with our tails between our legs. So really excited to be releasing this video, and you guys can tune in shortly. It'll be released in 4 minutes, I think, on Breakthrough News. And then again, I'll be at the Katie Halper Show.
Okay, so let's go ahead and check out at least part of that, because that video is up. So let me go ahead and share that. Again, guys, I'm by myself tonight, so bear with me. I'm going to have to do Rockfin last because I don't have the screen. Okay, so here's that video. So let's hear what she was going to say. Let's check this out.
The following monologue is something that I wrote, delivered, and recorded at the Hill. It was then censored, and I was then canceled and fired. Representative Rashida Tlaib has been condemned by some over comments she made about Israel. Here's CNN's Jake Tapper reporting on what the Michigan Democrat said and the response it prompted.
Democratic Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib of Michigan facing criticism today from what several of her Jewish colleagues have deemed anti-Semitic comments. Here's what
Rome! Hi, Rome!
Tlaib, the first Palestinian-American woman to serve in Congress, said at a virtual event yesterday.
I want you all to know that among progressives, it has become clear that you cannot claim to hold progressive values, yet back Israel's apartheid government. And we will continue to push back and not accept this idea that you are progressive except for Palestine any longer.
The CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, Jonathan Greenblatt, slammed the comments, saying that Israel does not have an apartheid government, and said that she should not be imposing a, quote, litmus test in a tweet, saying, quote, Tlaib tells American Jews that they need to pass an anti-Zionist litmus test to participate in progressive space. Some of Tlaib's Jewish colleagues in Congress agreed. Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz called her comments, quote, outrageous and, quote, nothing short of anti-Semitic.
You see what they do here? You can't critique it at all. You critique it in any way, shape, or form, and they call you anti-Semitic. You see the problem? So, look, I have a lot of criticism of Rashida Tlaib, especially when it comes for her not really fighting for us the way that she said she would when she ran her campaign. Got a lot of criticism for Rashida Tlaib. But let me ask you this question. So they're expecting a Palestinian woman to just sit back and be silent and not speak out for her people and what her people are going through in Palestine? They really expect that to happen. This is a controlled narrative, heavily controlled. This idea that you can't even offer any type of critique. Again, this is not to Israeli people. It is to the state of Israel. You cannot offer any type of criticism or you are smeared as anti-Semitic. That's a problem. It's huge. And they're doing it to everyone. They're calling people who are Jewish anti-Semitic for making any type of criticism. Let's go on.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz is right. It is outrageous. It's outrageous that Rashida Tlaib is getting attacked. Tlaib is merely stating that Israel is an apartheid state and that people who claim to have progressive values cannot support an apartheid state. No matter how loose a definition of progressive we use, it certainly excludes supporting a racist apartheid system. What's outrageous is attacking Tlaib for pointing out that progressive except for Palestine is an intrinsically contradictory position. What's also outrageous is that the Anti-Defamation League's Jonathan Greenblatt would claim that Israel is not an apartheid government. What's outrageous is that Jake Tapper would accept Greenblatt's judgment as the truth and not propaganda that needed to be pushed back against. I understand that Greenblatt and perhaps Tapper feel like Israel is not an apartheid state, but unfortunately for them, apartheid isn't about your feelings. It's about facts.
Jake Tapper can't speak out against it because if he were to push back on it, then he would be gone. Let's be real. CNN would get rid of him. We are replacing your time slot. You're out of here. And they've been removing people left and right.
In 1973, the UN defined the crime of apartheid as any inhuman acts committed for the purpose of establishing and maintaining domination by one racial group of persons over any other racial group of persons and systematically oppressing them. In 1998, the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court defined apartheid as inhumane acts of a character that are committed in the context of an institutionalized regime of systematic oppression and domination by one racial group over any other racial group or groups and committed with the intention of maintaining that regime. These inhuman acts include, among others, infliction upon the members of a racial group or groups of serious bodily or mental harm by the infringement of their freedom or dignity or by subjecting them to torture or to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment, by arbitrary arrest and illegal imprisonment of the members of a racial group or groups, any legislative measures and other measures calculated to prevent a racial group or groups from participation in the political, social, economic, and cultural life of the country, and the deliberate creation of conditions preventing the full development of such a group or groups. In particular, by denying to members of a racial group or groups basic human rights and freedoms, including the right to leave and to return to their country, the right to a nationality, the right to freedom of movement and residence, the right to freedom of opinion and expression, and the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. I'd encourage Jake Tapper to look this up sometime. Here are just a few examples of Israel's apartheid policies. The Law of Return of 1950 allows any Jew, which means anyone with one Jewish grandparent, the right to return to Israel, the right to move to Israel and automatically become citizens of Israel. It gives their spouses that right too, even if they're not Jewish, though if they're Palestinian, that's another issue entirely. Palestinians, of course, lack that right. The Israeli Citizenship Law of 1952 deprived Palestinian refugees and their descendants of legal status, the right to return, and all other rights in their homeland. It also defined Palestinians present in Israel as Israeli citizens without a nationality and group rights. These laws together obviously fit into the International Criminal Court's apartheid criteria. More recently, the nation-state law established that the fulfillment of the right of national self-determination in the state of Israel is unique to the Jewish people. It demoted Arabic from an official language to a language with special status. It also stipulated the state views Jewish settlement as a national value and will labor to encourage and promote its establishment and development. These are just some of the reasons that human rights organizations have declared Israel an apartheid state. Al-Haq, Al-Mezan Center for Human Rights, Adala, the Legal Center for Arab Minority Rights in Israel, Adamir, Prisoner Support and Human Rights Association, Human Rights Watch, and Amnesty International have all documented Israeli apartheid policies. Israel
and the United States government is not calling this out.
Israel's own human rights organization, B'Tselem, has declared the Israeli regime enacts an apartheid regime. B'Tselem divides the way Israeli apartheid works into 4 areas. Land. Israel works to Judaize the entire area, treating land as a resource chiefly meant to benefit the Jewish population.
They're actually literally, I've seen videos of them kicking Palestinian people out of their homes, dragging them out of their homes. That's how crazy it is. I don't understand how anyone can support that or applaud that. I really don't. Now, this map that she's showing here, I've seen this before. And Nick has talked about this before, but I want you to pay close attention. I just want to zoom in for a second. I want you to pay close attention to the occupation here. Occupation. Look at how much was occupied. So this is 1946. You can see the majority belongs to Palestine. 1947, you can see less land for Palestine. 1967, even less land. And then 2010, look, so you see what's happening? They're pushing them out. Rome's in the chat. Rome says, and then say they're defending themselves. Exactly. How are you defending yourself when you're the majority? How are you defending yourself against who? How many of them are there? Look. I'm going to let her go on for a little bit more, and then we're going to get to the Matt Taibbi censorship as well. So here we go.
Since 1948, Israel has taken over 90% of the land within the Green Line and built hundreds of communities for the Jewish population. Citizenship. Jews living anywhere in the world, their children and grandchildren and their spouses are entitled to Israeli citizenship. In contrast, Palestinians cannot immigrate to Israeli-controlled areas, even if their parents or their grandparents were born and lived there.
Want to talk about that for just a brief second. So I do have, like, some of my friends are Jewish, and I do remember them doing their birthright. So they get the opportunity to return to Israel. The trip is paid for. Like, they don't have to pay for it. So I've had friends of mine, they took advantage of that. They went to Israel. They were there for like a week. It's part of their birthright. I also worked for a faculty member here when I was at MIT who is from Palestine. Did not grow up in the United States, grew up in Palestine. Can't go back. So there is a difference. There's a stark difference there.
Israel makes it difficult for Palestinians who live in one of the units it controls to obtain status in another, and has enacted legislation that prohibits granting Palestinians who marry Israelis status within the Green Line. Freedom of movement. Israeli citizens enjoy freedom of movement in the entire area controlled by Israel and may enter and leave the country freely. Palestinian subjects, on the other hand, require a special Israeli-issued permit to travel between the units and sometimes inside them, and exit abroad also requires Israeli approval. Political participation. Palestinian citizens of Israel may vote and run for office, but leading politicians consistently undermine the legitimacy of Palestinian political representatives. The roughly 5 million Palestinians who live in the occupied territories, including East Jerusalem, cannot participate in the political system that governs their lives and determines their future. I was born in New York City. My great-grandparents and the family before them were from Eastern Europe. I could move to Israel today, buy a house, get a job, travel around with no problem. So could Jake Tapper and Jonathan Greenblatt. But a Palestinian like Rashida Tlaib can't even visit her family home in what is now Israel.
No, and they can't go back. Let me end this here because I'm not going to be able to play the entire segment. But if you want to watch the full video, this is on Breakthrough News, and the name of the video is "What happened to the?" No, I don't want to see the chat. What happened to the title of the video? Is it because I'm zoomed in? YouTube is like weird today. Why? Oh, here we go. This is what got Katie Halper censored and canceled by The Hill. So that's the title of the video, and it's on Breakthrough News if you want to see the rest of that segment. But no, it's true. Like I was telling you about the professor that I worked for that is from Palestine. She was explaining this, like she can't go back. Can you imagine that? So that segment that you just saw, that was the segment that she recorded that she did for The Hill that they decided not to air. What was so damning about that? Why wouldn't they show that? So they don't want their audience to see how the Palestinians are being treated there? Is that what that's about? I consider that to be a history lesson. I consider that to be educational. Why would they not want their viewers to have an education? Terrible, huh? Terrible. Desert Manta said the truth is damning. This is awful. I'm going to go to some of the comments here. Leora said, who is their investor? That's a good question. I'm not sure. But The Hill is corporate. I do want people to understand that. The Hill Rising show is corporate. That's not independent. Marxist-Leninist says it's not Rising. It's any media whose funding comes from imperialists, capitalists. There you go. That's why they don't want that message to get out. Thank you for the super chat, North Instead. Hi, Sabby. Much love from Western Mass. What's up? Do you think this thing with Rising is also fishy because The Hill isn't just on YouTube? They have their own site. Just makes me think there's even more to the story. That's a good point. Yes, The Hill has their own website. They have a Twitter page and all that kind of stuff, but they're corporate. That's like really what this is about. So I don't know who is funding them. I do know it's corporate media. They don't claim to be independent media either. But it would be interesting to see where that funding comes from. But I told you guys about the anti-imperialists basically being silenced in this space and not being welcomed on certain platforms because they don't want that message to get out. That's terrible. Oz is in the house. So what do we think about Rising hosts who watch this kind of censorship happen to journalists on their show, then make excuses for not standing up by exercising ethical standards? They fired the journalists. By exercising ethical standards, the fired journalists. That's what I was saying earlier. Like, I wonder how the other hosts feel, because here we go. This is another person. You know, it was just Kim. That wasn't even long ago. Right? Kim wasn't fired, but they censored Kim by preventing her from being on that interview, which she was the most knowledgeable person about that subject matter. Why would you not have her on? Right? So they silenced her. She left. They just fired Katie Halper. So I do wonder, how does Bree and Robbie and whoever it is next week, because they got a rotating door over there. It's a revolving door. Come on, what's happening here? I wonder how they feel. I don't know. Thank you for the super chat, Kristen. Shout out to my wife. Love you, babe. I love you too, Kristen. Kristen is not my wife. Just making that clear for people being like, what? No, Monarch. So Katie Halper got fired from a video she did outside of The Hill. What the F? No, so she recorded the segment for The Hill. They decided not to post that segment. So she pushed back on them. She wanted them to post it, and then they fired her. Steve, thanks for the super chat. Many props to Katie. Yeah, like I said, most people will not push back. Most people won't do that. But the question that we need to be, asking as well in reference to the censorship that's happening with Rising as well. Rising has a problem. They have a revolving door. And I don't care what type of industry you're in. When you're constantly having turnover like that, and it's been a short period of time, people are going to look at you some kind of way. Because if you're having that type of turnover, typically that means it's not the people, it's you. Now, it wasn't just Katie. Her colleague, Matt Taibbi, was also censored. Now, I found out about this because I follow his Substack. So I get emails every time he posts a new Substack article. And I got this email. Let's check it out. YouTube demonetizes TK content. So for those who don't know, Matt Taibbi, it's TK News by Matt Taibbi. We're going to go down here. A brief note to subscribers about YouTube's decision to demonetize TK material, saying Matt Orfelia's factual video isn't suitable for all advertisers. So for those who are like, who is that? He also goes by Orf, Matt Orf. So he's done a lot of videos for people. Now let's go on. Again, I received this email. It says, "Hi, Matt Orf. After manually reviewing your video, we've confirmed that it is not suitable for all advertisers. As a result, it will continue to run limited or no ads." Now, this video is titled "Democrats." I can't even say this without getting censored myself, but you can read that. "Democrats claims stolen," right? Your video remains playable and is still eligible to earn subscription revenue from YouTube Premium. You can find more information about our advertiser-friendly guidelines, right? So let's go on. Today, we're releasing a video Matt Orf has been working on showing years of audio and video clips, tweets, headlines in which Democratic Party politicians and media figures describe Donald Trump's presidency as, I can't say that. Before it was even published on this site, Matt received the above notice. So they didn't even get a chance to publish it. Let's go on. "I'd like to thank YouTube for making our point. The material in this video does not promote the idea that any election was," right there. "On the contrary, it shows a great mass of comments from Democratic partisans and pundits who themselves make the claim theirself. Those comments were not censored or suppressed when made the first time around by the likes of Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Karine Jean-Pierre, Adam Schiff, Rob Reiner, Tom Arnold, and Chris Hayes, among others. Nor did any platform step in to issue warnings when my former boss, Keith Olbermann, promised with regard to Trump's ascension to the White House. However, the decision to assemble these materials in one place, inviting audiences to consider their meaning, apparently crosses a line. Now we know. Now we know that you can deny, and we'll see this here, results on a platform like YouTube as much as you want. You can even promise disruption, but drawing attention to such behavior angers the algorithm. It's hard to imagine a better demonstration of the double standard in content moderation. So again, I received this via email. This is Matt Taibbi's Substack. Now, fortunately for Matt, they came back and they did apologize. Now, I got this morning. So let's go in here. YouTube apologizes, reverses demonetization decision. YouTube reverses a decision to demonetize a video produced by Matt Orf for TK. However, there's a new issue with the second video. Oh my God. I can't, man. I can't. Earlier today, YouTube demonetized an item Matt Orf produced for TK. The video, Democrats, you see this, stolen, blank claims, has been remonetized as the company has corrected what it characterizes a mistake. We've thanked them for doing so from a pair of tweets earlier today. So you'll see here, we followed up regarding this here. Sorry about the mistake. So that is from Team YouTube. You see what I mean? How sometimes they can make these mistakes. Okay. As we learned this, however, Matt was informed of a problem with the second video we released today. And you see the title of this right here. You guys, you really got to pay attention to these titles. This is something that, and to be fair, even if he didn't put this in the title, they probably still would have flagged it. But these are keywords here, these buzzwords like rigged. Anytime you have that next to this word here, and you're talking about 2016 and 2020, that's a big red flag for YouTube, right? Still, they probably still would have came for it. Now it says this for the new video. After manually reviewing your video, we've confirmed that it isn't suitable for all advertisers. As a result, it will continue to run limited or no ads. Yada, yada. Given that the company was prompt in its first review and came to a correct decision, I'm hopeful this issue will also be fixed. So, yeah. Like, I can't make this up. I can't make this up. I know some of you are probably like, is she going to talk about censorship again tonight? She talked about it last night. Just so happens 4 people have either been censored or smeared this week. Rather, the journalist, commentator, 4. And this is an issue I will heavily continue to push because this is a problem for all of us, not just for those of us that do this work. It's a problem for all of us because it limits the amount of information that you receive. And it limits the narrative that you get to hear. We're going to talk about this on Call-In tonight. I'm going to go to some of the comments, and then we're going to get into another issue with censorship. I can't make this up. I really can't. This week has been crazy. But you guys see it's happening to people more often now than it was like even a year ago. Let's go to some of the comments here. Where did I stop? Oh, thank you for the super chat, Hella Cook. Sabby, why politicians never talk about strengthening the local level influence? That's how real impact influences. I think you answered your question with the second phrase there. When you say that's how real impact influences, that's why they don't talk about strengthening local level politics. That's why. That's what I believe. They don't really want real substantial impact. They don't want too much impact. They don't really want the people to have the things that we should have. This is also the reason why a lot of times mainstream media and even in our education system, right? There's a lot of focus on national politics. They tell us about the presidential election. How many people actually go participate in the local elections, though? How many people go and vote for these ballot initiatives, right? Those things are important, but they don't focus on that because you actually can get more change done on the local level when it comes to electoral politics. That's why they don't focus on that. Thank you so much for the super chat, David, my fellow Bostonian Sabby. David! Who's next on the chopping block at the Hill? My money is on Bree after her bringing RBN on to dismantle Robbie. Cheers. I don't know. I don't know who's next. I know that I would not want to be in that hot seat. I know that. Okay. And to the person in the chat, I cannot read the language, Sean. I'm sorry. I'm not sure what language that is, but I can't read what you're saying. Bryce says, yep, Bree would be next. I don't know, man. I just know I wouldn't feel safe. I would not feel safe right now. And speaking of feeling safe, we need to get into this story here about the gray zone. Now, this one threw me for a doozy because Max Blumenthal, he tweeted this tweet about Gray Zone's Wikipedia page. And I saw this and I was like, I don't even think I've ever looked at Gray Zone's Wikipedia page. I typically choose not to go towards the Wikipedia sources just because I have a lot of criticism for Wikipedia. I've found Wikipedia pages before that didn't have necessarily correct information. Sometimes they've had people's birthdays wrong that I just happen to know off the top of my head because I knew when that person was born. But when I was in undergrad, my professors always told us we were not allowed to use Wikipedia as a source for research papers. And we can see why. So let's get into this tweet here for Max Blumenthal. So Max says the Gray Zone's Wikipedia page and mine are deception-filled screeds authored largely by spooks and neocons. This op was personally endorsed by Wikipedia CEO Jimmy Wales, the husband of Tony Blair's ex-secretary and a US-UK regime stooge. Here's Wales smearing us in a DM. So let's take a look at this. Didn't I tell you guys, you got to be careful what you send people in DMs? Yeah. I could come back to bite. So here's a DM here with Jimmy Wales. And it says, are you familiar with this person, Philip Cross? It's actors like him that I'm referring to. He edits accounts of independent media figures, often smearing them and creating a one-sided narrative. Like many, I view Wikipedia as a neutral outlet to get basic information and research on topics. When I see pages like The Gray Zone, it looks like a State Department smear more than anything. This is what concerns me. So let's see the response. There's Jimmy. It looks well sourced to me. It isn't the State Department that makes Gray Zone a pro-Kremlin, low-quality site. It's just the sad truth. I am afraid. So there's the receipts. Okay. So Max shared that. And then he shared this tweet here. And I'm actually going to go to the actual Wikipedia page and we're going to break this down. But this gentleman here, so Bryce Green pointed this out and he said, never seen a massacre as bad as the Gray Zone News Wikipedia page. Like, damn, they do not want people to even think about reading the site. And we're going to get into that in just a second. So let's scroll down. So Max went on to say, Wikipedia has officially blacklisted the Gray Zone News, banning users from citing us while maintaining a page to smear us. Wikipedia's leadership is deeply embedded with the intelligence services and U.S. government regime change. And U.S. government regime change outfits we routinely expose. And here are the faces of the people that Matt's calling out here. I said Matt, it's Max, sorry. That Max is calling out here. You got to put faces to the names. So let's go on. So that's Jimmy Wales and that's Ayn Rand. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. Ayn Rand. Oh, sorry. Catherine Mayer, excuse me. Wikipedia founder Jimmy Wales is an Ayn Rand devotee and Catherine Mayer, director of Wikipedia Foundation. So that's, there they are, right? All right. So it goes on because Max was not letting this go. He was like, look, Wikipedia is by design an instrument of online discourse suppression and cognitive control of Western populations. Marketed as a consensus-driven encyclopedia, it empowers intel agencies and regime change fanatics to digitally assassinate their critics. So it goes on here. And I want to click on this one too as well. Wikipedia founder Jimmy Wales also happens to be on the board of NewsGuard, the Pentagon and the State Department funded news rating agency that gave the Gray Zone a red rating. As I noted in my reply to them, these warmongering spooks aren't fit to judge us. And here's that evidence here. NewsGuard, Jimmy Wales is an advisor. He's the co-founder of Wikipedia. And then you can see NewsGuard also mentioned the Gray Zone here. Unfortunately, I can't zoom in. It doesn't let me zoom in on that. Right. But what it says is the Gray Zone's founder and editor-in-chief, Max Blumenthal, provided the following statement to NewsGuard on April 27th, 2022, in response to NewsGuard's emailed questions about the site's editorial practices. The statement did not address NewsGuard's specific questions. A portion of Blumenthal's statement appears in the nutrition label for the grayzone.com. And then they go on here to issue the thank you. It says, thanks for your email about your pending review of the Gray Zone. It reminded us that our media culture has been so thoroughly corrupted and systemically degraded by sociopathic elites that an outfit like NewsGuard can claim with a straight face to combat misinformation and provide transparent, accountable trust ratings for thousands of news outlets. So that's Max there. He went down what I like to call the rabbit hole. He was like, let me show you something else about the co-founder here. And then this piece here. Finally, establishment narrative control device Wikipedia has empowered a coterie of neocon editors to blacklist the gray zone as I can't read that, sorry. Nope, it was small. As a denigrated site, meaning other editors are banned from citing us. Their rationale was shabby at best. So that's an important piece too. Other editors cannot cite them, basically. That's really messed up. Now let's take a look at that gray zone Wikipedia page, because I looked at it. And all I'm going to say is this. If you have never heard of the gray zone, if you've never seen the show on YouTube or on Rockfin, if you've never read any of their work, if you had never heard of Max Blumenthal or Aaron Mate, any of them, and you read this Wikipedia page, you might be a little hesitant to believe what you read from the gray zone. You might be a little biased before you even check out their work. Let's look at that page. I'll make this a little bit bigger because Wikipedia is always small. I wish they would get rid of this stupid pain. Anywho, this is the gray zone Wikipedia page. Look at this. The Gray Zone is a far left news website and blog founded and edited by American journalist Max Blumenthal. The website, initially founded as the Gray Zone Project, was affiliated with Alternet before becoming independent in early 2018. The website's news content is generally considered to be fringe. I want us to pay close attention to the vocabulary that's used in this article, okay? Because this is important, I think. Considered to be fringe. Now you hover over it. A fringe theory is an idea or a viewpoint which differs from the accepted scholarship of the time within its field. Fringe theories include the models and proposals of fringe science, as well as similar ideas in other areas of scholarship, such as humanities. Blah, blah, blah. It is known, guys, I wish I could highlight this. I need a highlighter. It is known for misleading reporting. Okay. And sympathetic coverage of authoritarian regimes. You guys see this? Do you see? So if this is your first introduction to the gray zone, why would you want to pursue it further? You see the problem? Right out of the gate. It's known for its misleading reporting and sympathetic coverage of authoritarian regimes. This is a problem because people who are not familiar with the gray zone, if this is their first introduction to what the gray zone is about, then when they actually will try to, or maybe someone will send them a gray zone article or a gray zone video, they already have bias towards the gray zone. In their mind, they may think, oh yeah, but who cares what they say? They're not telling the truth anyway. They do misleading reporting. You see how this works? There's more. Okay, sympathetic coverage and authoritarian regimes, in addition to its denial of human rights abuses against the Uyghurs. Now, when I interviewed Aaron Mate, I actually talked to him about that. And he gave a much more detailed explanation that this Wikipedia article does not give. Hence why our professors told us you cannot use Wikipedia as a source. It gets worse. Let's get into this part. The Gray Zone has published conspiracy theories about Venezuela, Xinjiang, Syria, and other regions. Look, in reference to Syria, what was the conspiracy theory? Wasn't that proven to be true? About the OPCW report? As well as pro-Russian propaganda. I can't make this up. During the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Now, here's another thing. This is how you can tell they're not doing their research, right? And I say that because in reference to the Russia-Ukraine issue, Aaron Mate said so himself that he didn't agree with Russia actually invading. He said that himself on multiple shows. I have seen him say, yeah, but I still think that Russia was wrong to invade. A lot of people don't mention that part. Let's go on. So much for Wikipedia being neutral, right? Okay. So there's history, there's content, there's reception, and then there's contributors. It's just so we get into the content portion. Listen to this part here about Syria. I do want to talk about this part. Let me make this a little bit bigger. I really hate Wikipedia. I really do. You have this stupid panel on the left-hand side that does not need to be there. Get rid of it. Sorry, guys. That was the tech anger coming out in me. Listen to this. The website has supported the government of Bashar Assad in Syria, publishing content denying that Syrian government used chemical weapons against civilians during the Syrian civil war and accused OPCW investigators of a cover-up. Wasn't that proven to be true? Does it? I don't know what to say, man. I really don't know what to say. Like, this is all negative. The website has also denied the scope of Xinjiang internment camps and the Uyghur genocide, downplaying widely reported abuses by the Chinese government against the Turkic Muslim minorities in Xinjiang. To correct that, in reference to the Uyghur genocide, I did a show. I have to find it on this channel. It's been a while. I did a show a while back where we actually went to the State Department's website and I showed you guys, let's see what the State Department says about the genocide in Uyghur. The State Department, this is coming from the state, not my opinion. The State Department even said they could not confirm that there was a genocide because they didn't have enough evidence to prove that. That came straight from the State Department. Notice Wikipedia does not mention that. It doesn't take a rocket science to figure this out. It really doesn't. You just do a little research. Now, that's according to a report from the Institute for Strategic Dialogue. Gray Zone reporter Aaron Mate was the most prolific spreader of disinformation on matters concerning Syria, overtaking Vanessa Beeley. They come after her too, by the way. She's another one. If you guys aren't familiar with her, Vanessa Beeley, she's another one that gets heavily attacked and smeared. She's a great journalist, though. Do you just sit? And it goes on. It goes on. They bring up Nicaragua. They bring up the Twitter. Why is this here? They bring up the Twitter warning label, like, and then they bring up reception. This isn't positive at all. It's all negative. So for people who say that Wikipedia is neutral, not so much. Now, here's the thing about Wikipedia. I don't know how you would go about getting a Wikipedia page removed. What if, and I don't know if they want to do this, but what if Max Blumenthal is like, look, this is bullshit. I want you to take that Wikipedia page down. I don't even know if he could do that. That's the thing. I don't know if he can say, take it down. Because which would you rather have? Would you rather have a Wikipedia page where it's all negative and they're smearing you, don't have their facts straight? Or would you rather not have one at all? I'd rather not have one at all. If anyone that's watching, if you know about that, if you know if there's a way, tell me if you're familiar. What's that, Michael? I'm sure Max has tried that. Probably, huh? Isn't that crazy? So let's make a comparison. Let's do something. Let's have a little bit of fun. It's Friday night. It's Friday night. There was a song called Just Got Paid. It's Friday Night. And like my parents used to listen to that song. But like NSYNC, they remade that song. They were like, thank God it's Friday night and I just got paid. All right, we're going to do a comparison here with CNN. Let's see what they say about them. Again, this is Wikipedia. And let's see how receptive they are towards CNN. The cable news network is a multinational cable news channel headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been there, by the way, to their headquarters. As soon as I walked through the door, I smelled despair and lies. It is owned by CNN Global, which is part of Warner Brothers. It was founded in 1980 by American-made proprietor Ted Turner and Reese Schonfeld as a 24-hour cable news channel. Upon its launch in 1980, CNN was the first television channel to provide 24-hour news coverage and the first all-news television channel in the U.S. September 2018, CNN had 90.1 million television households as subscribers. According to Nielsen, in June 2021, CNN ranked third in viewership among cable news networks behind Fox News and MSNBC. It goes on to talk about the viewership, talks about how it dropped down. Okay. And then this paragraph here. Globally, CNN programming has aired through CNN International, seen by viewers, yada, yada, yada. Where's the negativity? You guys see the difference? This is strictly who started the network, Ted Turner, where it's located, the history of the channel, how it was founded. And it talks about the views, the viewership. That's the intro to CNN. Now compare that to the intro to Gray Zone. You see the difference? We got to do something about the censorship. We really do. And that being said, that is going to be the call-in segment tonight. That's what we're talking about tonight. We got to get into it. This is episode 46, Censorship on the Left. Recently, it was revealed that the Gray Zone Wikipedia article is actually a smear piece. Katie Halper was recently fired from The Hills Rising after wanting to do a radar about the state of Israel. We need to talk about censorship on the left. That's what we'll be discussing tonight. I do want to make sure I pin that to the live chat as well. Let me remove that here. And then I'm going to go to the other comments. And I believe I have comments on Rockfin. And then we'll start that room. And I think I put the wrong time down for that room, but I'll double check. Because I told you guys, you'll have to excuse me. Eric's not with me, with us here tonight. Oh, all right. Let me go ahead and check here. And I'll pin that link too. So I will do that. All right. There was a song, you guys, like, while you wait for me to do this, there was a song by this guy named, his name is Meatloaf. You guys ever heard of Meatloaf? I don't know why you name yourself that, but it happened. And make sure that's the right one. Yeah, that's the right one. Anywho, he had this song called I Will Do Anything for Love, but I Won't Do That. But he never told us what that was. So I never figured that out. What is it that he wouldn't do? If you know the answer to that question, let me know. What is it that Meatloaf wouldn't do? I don't know. I didn't know if this was just like domestic things that he wouldn't do. He's not going to do the dishes. I don't know what. It's like sexual things. He's not going to have a threesome. I don't know. What is that? All right. So let's go ahead and get to these comments and then I'll pull up Rockfin, which Rockfin is not added there, but I'll add it elsewhere. So let me go here. What? Felching? What does that mean? What's that, Sean? Allow her to cheat? Ed said marry her. He wouldn't marry her? That was what he wouldn't do for... I'm so confused. Richard said is mentioned at the end of the song. People have said that before, but I don't hear anything. What is it he won't do? A tree stop. Oh my God. I gotta get off of here. I can't ask you guys questions. Let me go to oh my God. I'm all off focus now. Okay. VS Adams, Sabby info on The Hill in 2021. The Hill was purchased by Nexstar, which owns around 200 TV stations and media outlets nationwide. The founder, chairman, president, and CEO of Nexstar is Perry A. Sook. Thank you for that, VS Adams. There you guys go. You're wondering who owned them. Kilyuri Gorgi says, who's fact-checking the fact-checkers? That's a good question in reference to Wikipedia. Who's taking care of that? Aberdeen, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you for the super chat, Roger Meadows. R.I.P. Johnny Kemp. I saw him live. That's who sang that song. Thank God it's Friday night and I just got paid. Okay, let me go to Rockfin. It's going to be a little weird because typically, like when Eric does this, it's through a different thing. And so just don't pay attention to the video per se. I'm just trying to show the chat. Now, people said there's a way you can get the chat to pop out, but I don't have time to figure that out. I think I'm late for the call-in show too. Balls. All right. See how bad it is when Eric's not helping produce because I'm all over the place. All right. Anywho, I'm here for the comments. I mean, I can't even see this. This blows. People say there's a way. Oh, pop out chat. Yay! Okay, stop sharing and then share the other screen. I will do anything for love, but I won't do that. What is the that? Okay, here we go. Geez, there's a lot of comments tonight. I got a notification, a tip for, how do I know if it's a tip or not? Oh my God, this is awful. I'm terrible at this. Here we go. Thanks for the tip, Roger Meadows. Sabby, the following was the last message I sent yesterday that Eric didn't read regarding the segment of the guy yelling at Showman. Sabby, I was looking at gray-haired brother who turned around, who was like, what? And I thought the same. Knowing my ass, I wouldn't have yelled. I would have went into some long explanation informing the crowd. Start with the invasion of 2014 and brought them up to date. That's right. And I just want to make sure I don't miss anyone else here. But I won't do that. Now it's stuck in my head. This is bad. Someone give me another song. Okay, I think I got everybody. Pump up the jam. Pump up the jam. Copeland, thank you for the tip on Rockfin. Sabby, the clarity you bring to important political issues is appreciated. Thank you. Thanks. That's really sweet, Copeland. Jacob Greisimer. I don't know why I'm doing like 90 songs are stuck in my head. Do you see any evidence that he actually has fired on his own people from the air? There were reports of it, but do you have independent confirmation? If so, to what extent? Secretary Gates, we've seen the press reports, but we have no confirmation of that. Admin Mullen, that's correct. We've seen no confirmation whatsoever. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for this tip as well, Jacob. The U.S. has no evidence to confirm reports from aid groups and others that the Syrian government has used the deadly chemical sarin on its citizens. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis said Friday, we have other reports from the battlefield from people who claim it has been used. Mattis told reporters at the Pentagon, we do not have evidence of it. Interesting. Interesting. And I think that's okay, cool. All right. I did it. I handled it. Handled that. And I want to give a shout out to Salgato. Thank you so much for the tip, Salgato. New song, Donnie Iris, Leah. Who's that? I don't know who that is. Gotta let me know. Who is that? Pump up the jam. Pump, 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 pump up the jam. Pump it up. The beat is pumping. Look, it's either this or it's what do you call it? We're going back to Look at This Photograph with Nickelback, because that song is still stuck in my head. And I really don't like Nickelback. Like, that's the thing. I want you guys to understand. I really don't. But if I hear a Nickelback song on a commercial or even a piece of it, it gets stuck in my head. All right. Oh, I'm just on time for call in. Whee! Actually, I don't know. So let's see. Did I miss something? Thanks for the super chat, Roger. No, you didn't. I left like 5 rocks. I can only see. I suck at this without Eric doing this, Roger. Seriously. Hold on. I might have to push the call in back. Let me see if I can find that. What time is it? Let's see. Let's push it to 9:50. Okay. All right, Eric. Let me see if I can find it. Push it in the chat. Push it. Shops. Push it. Do 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 do. Let's try this again. You guys are bringing up like 90s rap. Do you guys remember there was a group? It was two boys. They're part of this group called Crisscross. You guys remember them? I really, really liked. I loved, like, me and my friends loved Crisscross. Like when I was little, we were like, jump, jump. I think I made my parents like tired of. I think my parents were tired of hearing it. I really do. The Mac Dad'll make you jump, jump. Daddy Mac will make you jump, jump. Crisscross will make you jump, jump. I'm trying to find this stuff. Okay. Why? I don't understand this chat. Oh, I could select tips only. I didn't know that was an option. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do it right this time. Jump, jump. They had this song called I Missed the Bus. That was actually I liked I Missed the Bus better than Jump, Jump. They were like, I missed the bus. And it was something I would never, ever, ever do again. Missing the bus sucked though. Okay, now it's just the tips. Thank you for the tip on Rockfin Dave. Good coverage of Louisville. Thanks. Thank you for this tip, Roger Meadows. Sabrina, a friend told me who's into politics, told me presidents trust governors. So later on, they can glean a favor from those governors. That's a good point, Roger. Also, if they didn't get that in the binding legal document, then that's their bad. If they want to bring you on regularly, then call your lawyer, Sab. Call your lawyer. You're funny, Roger. Thank you for this tip as well. Rashida said you can't proclaim to be progressive if you support the apartheid state of Israel. However, has Rashida ever voted to send weapons to the Saudis or to fund any other imperialist ventures? Fight for coups in the Southern Hemisphere that didn't affect her directly? Question not rhetorical, but a real question. Oh, Roger, that was something. That was something. Thank you for this tip, Jacob. The IDF ran over Rachel Corrie with a giant militarized bulldozer made by Cat. She was trying to stop a doctor's home from being leveled. China didn't kill tank men. So Jacob's putting links here on Rockfin if you guys want to check out these articles. Thank you for the tip on Rockfin JVB as well. Thank you for that. And I read that one from you, Roger. And I read Copeland. I read that one from Jacob and that one from Jacob. And it says scroll to bottom. Okay, that is the bottom. Okay. All right, guys. I know it's not as cool and pretty as when Eric does that, but but here we are. I missed the bus. I will never, ever do again. All right. That's it, guys. Done with Friday night here. I pinned the call-in link to the top of the chat. So let's head on over there. You guys can follow me over to call in, and we're going to have this discussion again. The censorship on the left. We need to talk about this because I told you what I say last night, right? They came after Russell Brand. He has over 5 million subs. They're coming after anybody now. Everybody. It's not just people that have like smaller channels. So we need to talk about this. What is really going on? Let's do it. Why does it say I'm not in the app? What? See how things are when I don't have a producer here? I'm so silly, you guys. I'm so silly. Could you imagine hanging out with me on a Friday night? I'm really silly. Okay. All righty. All right, guys. We're heading on over to call in. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. You know how we do this. Have a good night. Keep up the fight.